first up, how excited were you to get started on the sequel? Because obviously your role gets a lot bigger in it. How exciting was that for you?
It's definitely exciting that Jacob has the opportunity to develop his relationship with Bella and New Moon. And just the fact that, New Moon is really the movie that sets up the entire series, which is, this love triangle, and the werewolf versus the vampires. New Moon starts it all.
Yeah, you mentioned the love triangle there. It's definitely a tricky situation there.
For everyone,
yeah.
It is. Bella, obviously, she's torn between the two guys who hate each other, so it's just, she's dealing with a lot. Jacob, all he wants is to be with this girl, and he can never fully have her, and he's also dealing with his issues that he didn't know was going to come, this issue of him becoming a werewolf.
It's quite a big issue, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because he can't tell her at first that what's happened to him. So that's pretty rough on him too.
What's your acting style? Do you draw on stuff from real life? Obviously you can't draw on being a werewolf in real life, but love triangles and relationships and that sort of thing. Does that come into play for you?
I'd say most of it just comes from the book.
Mm-hmm.
The book is exactly what the fans want to see. So that's, it's the time off between Twilight and New Moon. I read the book over and over and just studied the character, because Jacob has quite a bit of an emotional change from Twilight to New Moon. He continues on who he was in Twilight for the first half, but then he completely snaps and becomes a totally different person.
What do you think of Bella personally? The way she treats Jacob, I don't know, is she a bit of a cow?
I understand. I do. I halfway understand her. Sometimes it's hard. She comes like this close to kissing him and then stops. It's when I read New Moon, I felt really bad for his character.
Yeah.
And then after I lived him while we were filming this movie, I felt so much worse for him. Honestly, I feel bad for all of the characters. I understand all of their issues. That's what makes this love triangle so exciting.
You were saying in the press conference earlier that you really had to bulk up for it. What sort of regime did you go through?
Obviously a lot of hours in the gym. That was definitely important. But that was definitely the easiest part, because I was motivated and I knew that's what I had to do. The part that surprised me, that was the hardest, was definitely the eating. I doubled the amount of food I was eating. And it's, healthy foods, high protein, high carbs, staying away from those sugars. So it was tough.
I think most people in the audience will notice that you take your top off once or twice in the film. So when you even after all this bulking up that you did, do you still feel self-conscious when you have to do that kind of thing, or?
It's required by the role for reasons. But the only awkward part is that we're filming in Vancouver, in the Pacific Northwest, in March, so it's freezing cold. So everybody else is just bundled up in layers and layers of clothing, and I'm wearing the little jean shorts. So that's the only weird part. But gotta do what you gotta do.
What other kind of challenges did you face during filming?
Weather. We always face the weather issue just because of the way the books were written. But it's tough. There was one scene, the rain scene, in the back of Jacob's house. That day it was 35 degrees Fahrenheit, and it wasn't real rain. It was rain tower rain, which means it comes straight from the springs. So the rain is ice cold. And once again, I'm wearing the jean shorts, so it was freezing. So I'm like dying inside. But the challenging thing is Jacob. He's 108 degrees. He's never hot. He's never cold. He's always hot. So I can't look cold at all. So that's definitely a major challenge.
Yeah. And how are you coping with all the attention you're receiving now, both sort of, in public settings like this evening at the premiere, but also just sort of day to day? How much of a change has it been for you?
There's definitely, there's been a change, and you do have to make adjustments, but it's really amazing just to go out to an event like tonight and see our fans, especially, traveling the world and being able to see our fans all over. It blows our mind the kind of fan support we have. Even if we're in the smallest little town, we have our fans there. It makes us feel a lot more comfortable, and they're our motivation.